Welcome everyone, Simon here from the Whales of Wall Street. We've got an Algorand video here, ALGO, on the exchange. Before we go into that, do make sure, of course, that you try to check out all the other videos on the channel. We've got a multitude of different projects, topics, discussions, assets, you name it. We have got it in here. So guys, Algorand, this is coming down to a nice bite point in my opinion. We'll go into a bit more detail about the chart shortly. But I just wanted to have sort of a quick discussion around the whole moves of the last sort of 48 hours in relation to the whole market in general. I mean, this has been absolutely crazy, right? Of course, the FTX Binance situation has been ongoing for a while, and it's more or less kick-started into fruition. And this has brought down the market. So there's great opportunities where you perhaps maybe missed out a month ago or a month and a half, 2 months ago, for some of the price points to be coming down to those lower levels. We always talk about DCA on this channel, and it's very important to understand this more and more as these kind of things happen quite often in the markets throughout a year, right? So Algorand, of course, one of my favorite projects that I hold. It's one I will be honest to say that I haven't accumulated as much as I would wanted to. I missed like the lower stages of Algorand a couple of years ago. But it's certainly something that I try and accumulate, especially as it's under $1, because I do believe in the future this is going to be an absolute powerhouse. It's got very big interrelations with commissions around the world, infrastructures of government, finance, you name it. It's almost involved in pretty much most of the CBDC projects in some capacity, and a load of other things as well. And it does pride itself to say that it's, you know, very much around this whole green aspect. It's very sustainable, but it's also very applicable to like of the high security element, and also the things that it can do with its technology, the speed at which that it can operate as well. Trying to interlace really all these things without compromising anything. A lot of the chains out there tend to like maybe focus on one area and perhaps lose other areas because they're too focused on one. Algorand is quite a really good blend of all the different things that you would expect from blockchain all in one. So for me, it's a really big, powerful ecosystem with a massive future. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to seeing the full developments of this as it moves forward. And of course, recently with some extra investment coming in, the good thing about bear markets and winter markets is that in the longevity, it's quite interesting to watch. We can see like big investors coming in, like venture capitals, hedge funds, etc. Maybe even bigger institutions than that, coming in and sweeping up not just the assets themselves, tokens, but also potentially incorporating things or having such a significant investment, they may take it over eventually. We've got to remember that blockchain and crypto is still very early, and it could easily be adopted by bigger companies that are already out there for the number of decades, if not even longer. So you see these kind of like here, crypto investment firm HiveMind back in October deploying $25 million into Algorand DeFi. This was very interesting to see this kind of investment, but these are the kind of things that happen. And this also gives you trust and confidence in the sense that, well, big things are believing in this kind of technology and this particular kind of blockchain. It does give you a sense of, as I said, confidence moving forward. So for me, Algorand is one of those that doesn't massively get talked about, but it's certainly one that's of great importance and has a massive ecosystem already, but also has a lot of fingers in the pies, as they say, for things like, as I said, CBDCs and other massive technological advancements in the financial sector. So yeah, I'm really excited about this one, and it is one that I'm trying to accumulate as much as I can when I can. And on that topic, we're going to jump straight into the chart. I want to keep these videos pretty slick today because pretty much the topics are all the same around the drops, right, of the market. But I'm more interested in suggesting where I have been picking up Algorand in the last day or two compared to previously. Now, as I said, for me, Algorand, first of all, I need to get the correct token on here. There we go. For me, Algorand is one that's in a really good pricing position right now. But there's a couple of things we need to also be slightly wary of, that we could still come down slightly lower potentially. Now, what I mean by this is if we look way back here in 2020, we have the lower regions of roughly around 12-13 cents, right? So we're currently floating, guys, at 31 cents. So there's still plenty of movement downwards potentially. And we've got to remember that the whole cycle can arguably not always be completed until we see the actual support mechanism. What is the support mechanism? Now, it's very easy for us to determine and say, well, actually right now, it is probably roughly around this 30 cent mark, because since round about May, June time this year, we have been floating roughly around this area. Yeah, of course, we've had highs of around maybe 45, 46 cents in the last couple of months. But in the grand scheme of things, when you pull these charts out, it's not until you do that that you see where actually are we in the history of Algorand. So like I said, we've got these bottom parts here in around the March 2020 at 10 cents, but we're literally matching up now with pretty much most of this year or half of this year, but also back at these points here. Look at this, November 2020, early stages of 2021, where we saw a big drop down. It barriered itself here at around 23 cents, 22 cents, and then took itself back up, and we had an absolutely phenomenal ride with Algorand. And as I said, this thing on this chart particularly, it's showing going up to $3. I was buying Algorand round about sort of 70, 80 cents because I still thought this was a bargain in the long run. I still do. I still think it's a big bargain at 70 cents, but obviously not as good as getting it down at these lower regions. So I have been DCAing over the last couple of months around this sort of 34 to 30 cent mark. And as I said, right now we're bang on that 30 cent mark. And this is important again to understand, as we reiterated just a minute ago in this chart, that it's trying to match up a support level that we've seen historically. But we've also got to determine, could it come down lower if that breaks? And we can see here that we've had some dips back here, for example, November 2020, back down to lower 20 cent regions, and even lower back down here at 9 cents. Now, this is usually a proper bottom, obviously, back down here. Will we come down to these lower regions? It's going to take a lot of effort of Bitcoin to drop and some significant things around the world to bring us down to those levels, in my opinion. It's not saying that it won't happen, but these are probably the more realistic time scales right now of hitting between 20 and 30 cents. We've got to keep an eye on this, guys. As much as I want projects to keep continuing going up or stabilizing, we have to also understand the data and information that's in front of us. And we look at this big black hole here, really, to show you that in between this point of December 2020 and arguably roughly around this point here in May this year, there's been a huge dilemma of upward trend. Obviously a bit of a dip down here in July last year, but the grand principle is that there's a huge gap. There's not much testing around this current area other than one, perhaps two areas, perhaps three areas, in the sense that it rejected the resistance and it pushed itself up all the way up into the bull market that we had last year, right? So we have to identify this and be pretty savvy. And what I'm going to do just really quickly is drop a couple of fib retracement lines in here, all the way from one of the lowest points that we saw in history to one of the highest points. I'm just going to drag that across so we get a bit of an understanding as to where exactly we are in the momentum of the bigger areas of the chart. So this dotted red line here, trying to ignore that in terms of the fib retracement level. I'm just going to remove this golden line so you can see this is where we are right now, 30 cents, and we're still a good chunk away from that really, really low region, right? So I'm just going to take one of the most recent high points and one of the most recent low points. I'm just going to drag it down, first of all, to this one here where we've seen back here in June 2022, and it's near enough matching back here as well. So you can see very clearly, which is very interesting, when we had the tail up here between October and early November, we hit this barrier at 45 cents. It rejected. Now, no one really perhaps thought that the market was going to do this over the last few days. I think everyone knew or heard about the FTX situation with the Binance, etc. anyway for a while. But this kind of thing happens all the time in crypto. Like it happens so many times throughout the year, right? Even like, look at this, like even back here, the big massive drop downs similar to all the other market and asset trends, right? So this is why it's interesting to me, because it really much hits the exact barriers of resistance and support where you think it would do with these fib retracement elements, right? Now, as I said, we hit this lower region, which matches back here, 25th August, and back here on the 19th of June. So there's some good things to say that there's enough money in here and enough interest in Algorand for the bears to not win this one, for the bulls to pull in and go, I'm stopping this going down here. I'm accumulating Algorand because that price point is absolutely fantastic. We saw it pull itself back up yesterday. I was watching it late last night, and then I've woken up this morning and I've seen a slightly bigger dip, a bit more of a dip today. That's pretty natural. Whether we come and test this area again today will be quite interesting to see. But you might see some sort of fluctuation around here, a bit of stabilization, kind of what you saw here back in September, right? But either way, for me personally, we're on a bit of a downward trend. It's difficult, right, to figure out where the bottom is. Now, I don't always just follow it down. I do some DCAing and I hit certain bracket points, like I said, around, I think I bought last night around 31 cents. Yes, it dropped down to 28. That would have been great to have the extra 2 cents saving, but I didn't know how far down this was going to go, right? You never know. So you got to be cautious of this, and just perhaps sometimes if you're less risky, and I try to be consistent in this manner, is to wait for it to retract a bit. Even though if you miss maybe out by a few cents or something, it's just showing a bit more stability on there, because it could come down even lower and you could lose even more money. You just don't know. So I look for a bit of stabilization. I saw that last night. It started matching up, coming back up and seeing a bit of resistance around previous areas around 32 cents, which again is another area of interest in terms of levels, right? And in fact, if I just pull this out here, you see in finer detail of where those kind of areas are. As I said, 32 cents was roughly where it was pinging about, and it couldn't quite get itself back up to 35. So I thought, okay, this is a good DC area. But that doesn't mean, as I said, it could come down lower or hit these areas again. So I have another buy order just under 30 cents. If that doesn't hit over the next few days, I'll probably do a manual order if it's still around this 30 to 32 cent mark as well. So, nearly lost my voice for the excitement of Algorand's price right now. So we've got this point here in time with Algorand. This is where we are, and this is why I'm a bit excited, because of the price that it's been hitting at this moment in time. We look on the RSI. This is very important data to look at as well. We saw this huge upward trend, right? And this is why I wasn't buying Algorand over the last few days, because it was on an upward move. However, this drop, guys, right now at 14-day as a recording is sitting around 40 on a 14-day. This is a really big bite point for me personally. And also on the 28-day as well, being 45. I'd like to see that coming down to around 42, 43. That could potentially bring the 14-day down to maybe 37, 36. So I'm on the lookout, guys. I'm on the lookout because I think this is perhaps still stabilizing around this 30% mark. As you can see here, it's fluctuating quite crazily even through this recording. But in the last week or the month, from my perspective, is the month's not a massive discount to me. It was perhaps yesterday slightly higher than that. But in a 3-month period, this is where it gets a bit more significant. 3 months to 6 months, I'm seeing a bit more of a percentage opportunity to say, right, okay, there's movement upwards. And if you look at the year, of course, like most projects, is around sort of 85 to 90% on most ones, right? This is showing me that in the future, there is big opportunity for this to rise and the opportunity for big growth. So I love these kind of price points, and I will have lower ones as well, of course, until we get there. But you see the speed at which yesterday's came down, and this is why I plan ahead. I do have buy orders back down here at 22 cents as well. Why? Again, reflecting on the point of back here that we saw in November 2020 and all the other markers as well. As I said, there's a big gap. There's a big gap. And actually, if you look here between where we are now and there, forget the real bottom, like at 10 cents, from here to here, there isn't hardly any data at all, other than the really early stages of 2020 where it was upward trend. It's hit past the resistance, right? And you see these markers coming down. This is where I think if there's another tail down for whatever reason in the next 24, 48 hours, a bit of lack of confidence, whatever it might be, people pulling money out or following money elsewhere, I think this is a good target area, guys. So that's where I got my other order. But as I said, right now, my current orders are around 27, 28 cents. And this one here at 22 cents, just in case. But yeah, for sure, as I said, if it keeps stabilizing as it is around this area, I will still put some manual orders here and there throughout the next couple of weeks around these markers. If it starts getting towards 40 cents, I'll wait for it to calm down again and see what happens. But they're the 3 markers that I've got here. Hopefully, we can see some movement to some of these areas, because I would like to accumulate Algorand in cheaper prices, of course, like everyone else. So guys, that wraps that one up there. This is a top project, and it's a great opportunity with this market drop. It's one of the few assets that I've been focusing on. I know it's very easy to see like the whole market coming down. You like throwing money everywhere and all these different assets, but I made a decision about a year or so ago, or certainly the beginning of this year, to be like, right, if there are any drops, I'm focusing on the 5-6 key ones for me, particularly ones that are involved in like ISO compliance and the future of finance, basically. They're my key goals for the next couple of years, and certainly in this bear and winter market. So for me, this is exciting. Let us know in the comments below if you've been accumulating Algorand the last couple of days, or indeed the last 24 hours. what you're thinking about Algorand as a project in general. Always love to see the comments and thoughts of everyone. Let us know what you're doing with your Algorand and what you're doing in the market in general. I think it's always good to share feedback and thoughts. Everyone's opinions and thoughts are different, and I'd love to hear them all. So thanks for watching, guys. We'll wrap this one up there. I've got a few more videos to do today, as and when I get time, lunch breaks, etc. Until the next one, see you soon. Bye-bye.